Hey, congrats. You got your first listing. Now you need to know, do I use Form 1A or 1B? I'm going to make this super quick for you because you got to write that bad boy up. Here we go. All right. So we're looking at Form 1A. If you have the question, most people do I use Form 1A or 1B? I'm going to work that through right now. All right. So go to your Express Forms. On the left-hand side, you've got the form number, Form 1A. Go to the right-hand side, you've got Manual 1A. I've already got that popped open. So let's go to Manual 1A. And then letter number B, the second one on Form 1A, gives you the quick explanation. I'm going to read it for you since you're here. Form 1A versus Form 1B. The difference between exclusive sale and listing agreement, Form 1A, and the exclusive agency sale and listing agreement, Form 1B, is whether or not the owner can sell the property without the payment of compensation. If you use Form 1A, the owner must pay compensation, even if the property is sold direct, not through you. So no matter what on Form 1A, you're going to get paid if the property sells within the time of your listing period. Form 1B, if you use Form 1B and the owner sells the property without the assistance of a real estate broker, the owner is not obligated to pay compensation. That is the big difference. Most people typically use Form 1A. If you've got a seller that's insistent upon Form 1B, talk to your managing broker, get their opinion, go from there. All right. So Form 1A covers all property, covers residential, manufactured, and again, I'm reading right from here, condominiums, farms and ranch, vacant land, commercial and multifamily properties. Business opportunity and lease rental forms, read that in Form Manual 1A. Kind of goes into just a little bit of difference. But basically, if you're selling a home, condo, anything like that, Form 1A is going to be adequate. So let's jump on into the form. All right. You've got a couple of spaces here at the top for your seller's name. Go full name as best you know. You can go ahead and, so you've got seller, put their name, seller hereby grants to the name of the firm. This is a listing firm. This is you, the listing agent. You're going to have your sign out in front, right? That makes you the listing agent. From date hereof until midnight of whenever the time is, until, this is through, until whenever you put your expiration. Talk about that with your seller so you know what that listing period is going to look like. Is it 30 days? Is it 60 days? Is it 90 days? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? That's up to you. It's whatever you negotiate. So the exclusive right to sell the property, and the property commonly known as, here you put in the house number and the street name, number, whatever that might be. Second blank, this is a city, whatever city it's located in, whatever county, whatever the zip code is. Identify those correctly. If you have a question, look at the tax records. Otherwise, ask your seller. They live there. They should know. If they don't, you can always ask title as well. Hey, what's the correct city, for instance? Definitions. You've got some definitions there. Agency, dual agency, number 2. Seller authorizes listing firm to appoint. That is typically your name. You are the listing broker. It's the name of the broker that's going to be handling the transaction. You, as the seller's listing broker. Okay, list date. Firm shall submit this listing, including the property information on the attached listing input sheet. That is listing input 1, Form 1. Got a separate video for that, right? And photographs of the property, collectively listing data, to be published by the MLS by 5 p.m. on whatever the listing date. So here is where you are identifying the listing date. That is when it's going to go live, right? That's boom. That's your date. Okay. Compensation. I'm going to skip down to listing firm compensation. That can be a percentage of the sales price, or it can be a flat fee. One of those two things. Typically what you're going to see is you're going to see anywhere from, it really depends on the price of the property in the individual market. anywhere from 2.5% to 3%, sometimes 2%. If you got a big multi-million dollar property, it might be 1.5%. But what you can do is you can look at what other properties are selling for in the market that you're in, look at their selling office commission, kind of give you a rough idea. Okay, this is what they're paying the buyer's agent. So typically listing agent is going to be somewhere in that range. Ask other brokers if you're not familiar. Ask somebody in your office. Ask your managing broker, hey, what's reasonable for this property? If you haven't already had that conversation with your seller. Unrepresented buyer. If the buyer is not represented by a buyer brokerage firm, then the listing firm compensation shall be of the sales price or flat fee, equal to the amount in subsection 4A, if not filled in. So if a buyer comes in, they don't have a broker, here's where you identify that with your seller. All right, I'm not going to work the buyer's end for free. Here's the compensation that you and I are going to agree on. Buyer brokerage firm compensation. So this is the buyer. Buyer brings their own buyer in. Again, it's percentage of the sales price. Maybe it's 2%, maybe it's 2.5%, maybe it's 3%. Maybe on land, it's a little bit more. It's kind of whatever is applicable for that individual property, or a flat fee, $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is, to a cooperating member of the MLS. You don't see the flat fee that often, but it is out there. Every now and then you'll see it, typically in a little bit of a slower market. Here's dual agency. If the listing broker is a dual agent, represents both the buyer and the seller, then the buyer brokerage firm compensation paid to the listing firm shall be XYZ percentage of the sales price. Remember, that's typically, you're working both sides of that transaction. So make sure that you've worked out a deal that you're okay with. And also check with your managing broker if your firm will even allow dual agency transaction. Because there's, you're supposed to be giving equal, customer service to both your buyer and your seller. Darn near impossible to do. Some brokerages don't want to allow a dual agency to happen because there's some additional liability going on there. So you've got basically sales price or equal to the amount of whatever that is. Once you get this all filled in, you're going to have your seller initial, and date. That's page 1. If the seller shall within XYZ 180 days, if not filled in after the expiration of the listing firm, sell the property to any person to whose attention it was brought through the signs. That means through the signs, advertising, or other actions of the listing firm, making you the procuring cause. Then it goes on to say you will basically you'll get compensated, you'll get paid based on what we just described and what you and your seller agreed to at the just a couple of paragraphs back there, right? Okay, then we go on to property access and Keybox. Property access for non-member brokers. Listing firm may be contacted by listing brokers who are not members of the MLS and who do not have access to the Keybox on the property. Seller authorizes or does not authorize firm to provide access to the property to licensed brokers who are not members of the MLS. We're breaking down. Okay, so somebody comes from Eastern Washington. Somebody comes from an outside MLS. They want to sell the property. How are they going to get access? Well, unless you work this out with your seller ahead of time, they're not going to get access. You're going to have to go out there and meet them, or somebody from your firm, however you want to make that work. If authorized, listing firm shall or shall not, those are the 2 boxes you can check, shall if not filled in, be required to attend any such showing. You're just describing, okay, you got to be there or not. And you're working that out with your seller. If authorized, listing firm shall or shall not, yes or no, require brokers who are not members of the MLS to execute an access agreement prior to any showing. Basically just outlining, all right, you're going to show this place. Here's what we expect. Okay. So there's nothing in number 6. Scroll down. Nothing in number 7, nothing in number 8. You can read those. And again, you can go through the manual, take a peek, see if there's any additional information on there. The rest of this is just basically descriptions of exactly how this is going to go. Read through this information, because at some point in time, you are going to have a seller who's going to ask you every single little line and what it means. I'm not going to do that for you here because you can read it. I know you can do that. Check out the manual. Ask your managing broker any additional questions you might have, but just make yourself familiar with this information. Again, you don't have to memorize it, but know at some point somebody's going to say, hey, Sean, in section number 12 on Form 1A, it says this. And if you don't know what it is that they're asking right off the bat, the best thing to do is to basically say, hey, you know what? I've got a good idea of what you're asking me, and I think I know the answer to this question, but I want to make sure I'm absolutely 100% correct for you. Is that okay? Maybe allow me to make a phone call or two, or I'm going to check with my managing broker just so I give you 100% legit information. Does that work for you? And most people are going to be reasonable. They're not going to say, nope, I need you to make it up right on the spot right now. They're not going to do that. They want you to give them the best service. And if you ask them for just a little bit of time, people are always responsive to that. All right. So then down at the bottom of the form, you've got the seller's signature and date. You've got the listing firm. That is your firm as the listing firm. And then you've got the broker's signature. You are the broker. If you are the listing agent, you are the broker. I know there used to be a lot of difference between agent, broker. Broker was the managing broker. State of Washington, just to mix things up and, in their opinion, make it more clear, but I think it actually confuses most people. Broker's signature is you, not your managing broker, not your designated broker, you, the broker. All right. That is it for listing form 1A. Any other questions? We've got other videos here covering all the major forms. Otherwise, hit up your managing broker, and I'll see you on the next one. All right. Thanks for watching.